Relax, the keyboard is off, the press box is closed, but the mic is just getting warmed up. The guardian of the blue paint turned writer Lance Green from FlyersNittyGritty.com is joined by SteelFlyers as they talk about Lance's latest articles, player profiles, interviews, and guests. Welcome to the Hockey Writers Inc., the show where the writers are fresh off the presses and the ink is not dry.
Hi guys, welcome back to another edition of the Hockey Writers Inc. I'm your host, Lance Green.
And I'm your co-host, SteelFlyers. And we are ready to go for another great show. We've been out a little bit here, just trying to get me on the mend, but that's okay because the Writer Extraordinaire, the guardian of the blue paint, has been out and about with the Flyers Nitty Gritty Show. How about that, man? That was a great show you did the other day with Urif.
Thanks, that was definitely fun catching up with him. It's always good to jump on his show when I can. It's not too frequent, but it is always fun.
Awesome. And you did talk about one of your great articles about a call-up for wisdom that you thought would be a good idea, too. So that was really great. I'm glad you got a chance to be on there. That's awesome, man. Great to see you on there, man. Great to see you doing that. That's more exposure, right?
Yeah, any exposure is good exposure.
That's right. We also have to give out a special thank you to Jamie Bascal and Urif and the gang at Flyers Nitty Gritty for helping us get to helping us get to the Bleacher Reports. Once again, I mean, every time we put a show out, man, it hits the Bleacher Reports, man. So that definitely warrants the Hockey Writers Inc. salute to Jamie Bascal and the Flyers Nitty Gritty crew. Thank you guys very much for doing that and for helping out on that as well. We would also like to thank something else, too, that we would like to make an announcement with as well. The show is being brought to you by our sponsor. Our new sponsor is going to be www.ccc Resorts. That's the Canine Country Club. They are based here in central Pennsylvania, and they will be able to take care of all of your pet daycare needs. And they have an outdoor and an indoor pool. So you can do therapy work there for the dogs. They do that. They also have done training there for dogs and things like that. But they're great for boarding and all kinds of other things. But they are going to be our sponsors. Moving forward, they're part of the SteelFlyers All Sports Network and sponsoring that, and then therefore they'll be sponsoring the Hockey Writers Inc. So thank you very much for them for jumping on board and being our sponsors. Got to check them out, www.cccresorts.com. So thank you very much for that. They earned the Hockey Writers Inc. salute for the sponsorship, so thank you very much for that. All right, my brother. Let's get right into it, man. I know you ain't wearing your mouthpiece, but I know you got other specialty equipment on to help block some of the shots that are going to be fired your way, right?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. We're going to get into the state of what's going on right now with the Flyers, okay? And we know that there has been a COVID issue that has run rampant through the Flyers, and we do understand that there are some players missing and things of that nature. So I'm not saying that we can't discount that, but if and when we get most of all or all these players back and we try to get to a point where we can start to move forward, okay? So that's kind of where I'm at right now. This is what I wanted to kind of get your opinions on a couple of things here. You wrote a great article, and it was posted on Flyers Nitty Gritty the other day, and it was Flyers help wanted, a shutdown defenseman is needed. Okay. And we saw that it was glaring against the New York Rangers by allowing Kreider to have a hat trick. And that is not the only hat trick that's been given up by the Flyers. Okay. They've given up two other ones to a certain player in Boston. Okay. And that just, why are we giving up so many goals? Why is it that we're allowing players like that to go unchecked, to penetrate our defense, and all we're doing is, as you say in your article, poke checking. You can't poke check Alex Ovechkin. He is going to skate by you like you don't exist.
Definitely.
I mean,
yeah.
What? Okay, so we know why you were prompted to write this article. So give me an idea of who you have in mind that would be that person that could pull that sign down off of the help wanted sign there on the window and go, hey, I'm here for a job. Who do you got in
Yeah.
mind?
Yeah, definitely. So the biggest problems, like you already alluded to, on top of that, are the fact that the Flyers are among the league's worst in killing penalties, and they are among the league's top teams in shots allowed on their goalie. So that's obviously not a good thing in Carter Hart or Brian Elliott's case. So what are they really missing in this defensive core? They're missing that guy, that veteran leader, Matt Niskanen.
Well, yeah.
Okay, the one that's been there and done that before with a Stanley Cup ring to prove it. All right, we don't have that. Justin Braun is a veteran defenseman, yes, but he was never a first line
Yeah,
shutdown
yeah.
defenseman
But
like
he's good in the
we're calling
room.
for. Right.
Yeah, he's good in the room, but not necessarily good on the ice.
Yeah, I mean he is what he is. He's a third
Right.
line defensive defenseman, and that's great. You need those, but
Yes.
he's like he played in the first line at times this season, trying to help out Provorov, and in Niskanen's absence, it didn't work.
No.
All right, and it's still not working. We have yet to find that piece. Ghost has filled in rather well coming back this season and finally buying into the team's system,
And being
but
healthy.
right, and finally being 100% healthy for a change, which has been great. But a guy that I think that we need to go out and acquire, if I was Chuck Fletcher, would be a guy that has 3 Stanley Cup rings on his hand currently in Nicholas Jomarjan. Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, yeah,
Yes.
there you go.
Okay. He's 33,
Yeah.
like Niskanen was last season.
Yeah.
He's 6'2". He's 196 pounds. He plays physical. He's one of the best defensemen in the league, defensive defenseman. Everybody's out for scoring points and all this stuff. He can do that in a pinch when he needs to, but he's more focused on not letting pucks into his net. Okay,
Yeah.
so this is the guy we need, and what he brings to the table is just that. He brings physicality. He
Yep.
stands players up at the blue line with a physical check and is not afraid to do so. When he does make that poke check, it's not just lazily thrown out there like the rest of the Flyers core is right now. It is poke check and then an always backwards stance, ready to if it fails,
Yeah.
to retreat in a
Yeah.
sense, and that way he never gets that blown by calls when the most talented players go right by these guys that like the Flyers are. All right, he is amazing in a penalty kill. He
Right.
does clear out the front of the net like
Oh.
so many Flyers don't do right now. How many times have you watched the Flyers this season stand next to a forward like Kreider last
Yeah.
night, and all, just not even trying to push him out of the way, just letting him stand there as
Yeah.
he scores 1, 2, 3 goals
Three
in that
goals.
game,
Yeah.
and from the same location. This can't happen. Carter Hart, like I've said before, can't stop pucks that he can't see. If somebody is screening him, somebody needs to move him out in front of the net. And
That's
Nicholas
not
does
happening.
that. Yeah, Nicholas does this for the Phoenix Coyotes right now. He does that. All right. He was brought in to do that and
Okay.
to lead that, be that veteran player,
Okay.
because they have some great defensemen in Phoenix, but
Okay.
you know, he was that veteran leader to kind of bring it all together. And
Okay.
you know, he's in the last year of his contract. He is making $5 million, which is kind of hefty, but so was Niskanen. But it's not inobtainable. It could be struck in a deal for, and given the right pieces, could be done. He's an expiring contract, which would mean that if we did pick him up, we wouldn't have to have him brought on to next season, where we have so many guys that are coming up in a sense with Cameron York, Zumala, Wyatt Wiley, Mason Millman, all coming up soon rather than later. And
Yeah.
we don't want to block those guys. All
I
right.
agree.
On top of that, next season, we have guys like Carter Hart, Nolan Patrick, Travis
Yeah.
Sanheim, Scott Lawton, Mike Raffle, and Brian Elliott all coming and due for new contracts. So if we pick somebody up that's going to be $3, $4, $5 million next season, we might not be able to retain somebody else that's already in house that is here and is working and gels into the system.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I get you. I understand that. And the reason why I wanted to ask you that, I mean, you wrote the article clearly about with him in mind, but Ekholm is the other guy that is potentially on the block, and I kind of put. I kind of put those guys in the same kind of bracket. I mean, I get that Nicholas has got 3 cups. Okay, that's a huge difference. But then I look at Ekholm. He is only 30, so he's a little slightly younger. Okay, he doesn't have a really large contract. He's only on the hook for the next 2 seasons at 3.75 million.
Yeah, this season and next. Yes.
Right, and they're gonna want a first round draft pick, a prospect, and maybe somebody that is making close to his money that we could unload on as a, hey, here's a bonus.
Yeah.
You see what I mean?
Yeah, I definitely see what you mean. And I mentioned this in my article, why I think, yes, why I think Nicholas would be that better option. We wouldn't have to give up as much for him. And I think he is more suited so these guys listen to him on the ice. Okay, Ekholm is a great shutdown defender. Don't get me wrong; he is a great shutdown defender, and he would fit that need to solidify that core. But he is not that leader in a sense. He is not that on ice.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
He is not that on ice captain that these younger guys can listen to, can take notes from, and learn from. All right, he's just going to be another guy that's brought in like Gustafson was this season. That hey, okay, welcome to the team. He's not got the hardware that when he talks in the locker room, people are going to shut up and listen.
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. I got you. But like this is something too that I'm just not. I don't know, man. I have a hard time with some of the moves that were made in the offseason. And I feel that some of them were knee-jerk reactions and things of that nature. I think there were some much better plays. And we talked about this ad nauseum on numerous occasions about what's going on here and what we feel about what the deal is here. Now, last night's game against the New York Rangers, although we did give up a hat trick to Kreider. But I am going to say this, and I saw this in the Tahoe game as well, too. At least for the first period anyway, in the Tahoe game, and almost most of the game against the Rangers, which is the last game the Flyers played. The defense played markedly better, and the Flyers outshot New York Rangers considerably by 10 shots. And it stayed that way throughout all 3 periods. So it stayed consistent that the Flyers were outshooting the Rangers. Okay, first period, second period, third period, out shooting the whole time. They spent more time down in the Rangers' end than the Rangers did spend time down the Flyers' end. Okay, but it's those mental things that a guy like Nicholas could potentially be that glue, if you will, to kind of say, yeah, guys, look, you just need to relax and just calm down. And because look, let's face it. Provorov is gonna be that guy, but he's not there yet. Okay, we all feel he's potentially gonna be that guy, but he's not there yet. Ghost is probably the oldest tenured defensive guy on the team, and he's not that part of that leadership group.
Yeah, I don't believe so, and I don't think that. I said this in my last podcast with Yarif too. I think the Flyers have a bad habit before last season going out and getting Niskanen, and that was a legit top pairing. It's been some time since they had something like that, where it was a legit number one pairing. Usually they rely on Provorov, a guy like Timonen, a guy like Desjardins in the past, who they put out on the ice in any and all situations and expect them to perform miracles by themselves.
And they have.
And they have.
For the most part.
And they have. But, I mean, you can't expect Provorov to play 26, 27 minutes a game and keep up
Right.
that play for some time. You're going to injure him. You're going to, he's an Iron Man back there, just like Timonen and Desjardins were. But at some point, you can't keep relying on that person. You're going to need to bring in a guy like Nicholas to kind of take that weight
Relieve
off
the pressure.
Provorov's, yeah,
Yeah.
off of Provorov's shoulders, and I think this would help in that sense.
Especially coming down the stretch, and especially with this season, because of it being so condensed, and especially with the number of games now that the Flyers have missed and had to be rescheduled. Okay, so towards the end of the season, they're going to be playing more and more games, back to back to back to back. So I really think that they need to go out and do something to try to help put that one more piece into the puzzle. I think that's kind of what I think. If you get that one guy in there that kind of shows them this is what you need to do, I think you're going to see Sanheim clearing the porch a little bit more. You're going to see Haig clearing the porch a little bit more. You're going to see Myers clearing the porch a little bit more and being a little bit more physical and a little bit more, hey, why are you hitting my player like that?
Yes.
I hope and pray that's what happens.
And I think that will, just by that one guy coming in, and not only that, I think it's going to help a guy like Carter Hart's mental state come back. He's flustered right now on games because he's getting shell shocked previously before last game. The Flyers were definitely outshot most nights,
Yep.
and somebody like Nicholas coming in here to just bring that calming presence to that blue line would not only do that to the rest of the defensive core, but to the goaltenders as well as
Exactly.
that
Great
number one
point.
guy. When I played, I always knew I had one guy that I played with growing up, and anytime he was on the ice, he knew what I was going to do in every situation, and I knew what he was going to do in every situation, and I was relaxed when he was on the ice. And I can tell you, when others were out there, I was
Not so relaxed.
not so relaxed and just on edge all the time until he came back out there, because he was that calming, settling presence that just played by the book in a sense, like Nicholas does. He plays the game how it should be played in all situations, including 2-on-1s, which can be scary for a goalie as well. he, the Flyers at times this season have totally played it wrong. As I said
Yeah.
in my article, and it bothers me to no end in this sense, because they're coming down on a 2-on-1. They're watching the guy with the puck and they swarm to him. Where as soon as they do that, they're throwing the puck right across the middle of the ice, right to a guy now on a 1-on-0 on the goalie. Okay, this is defense 101, guys. This is basic stuff that's going wrong in Flyer land here. You should always play the pass. You should keep the defenseman or the oncoming forward with a puck at bay and keep him to the boards. But you should always have an eye on that player on in the middle of the ice coming down, and at that moment that he either shoots from that bad angle or makes that pass, you can pick it off. A goaltender is always going to take a shot and should be able to stop it from the boards. Okay,
Exactly. Yeah,
that's
yeah,
a
yeah.
lot less dangerous.
Exactly.
So this is just basics, fundamentals that players are taught, and the Flyers aren't playing. And I
No.
don't know if that's a coaching issue that needs to be handled, or somebody like Provorov needs to step up. But he was one of those players too, making those simple mistakes, and these mistakes he wasn't making when he was playing less minutes.
Agreed. Jim brought up something when we did our show, and he said, and I kind of have to agree with this. We haven't had a full complement of team since the first game. We had our first game, Couturier went down, and then Frost went down, right? And I think Frost is the more detrimental loss to the team than what Coots was, because Frost is done. Coots came back. You could definitely tell the difference between the team when Coots is there and Coots isn't. And now you got all these guys that are on the COVID list that have been out for quite a long period of time. You see what I'm saying? And so and the point that he made was that the team really hasn't been all together yet, all the way where they haven't been able to get into a rhythm. You know what I mean? And then with the whole COVID thing coming, and just because he said that, like, and that right before the COVID hit, the Flyers started to look like they were starting to go in the right direction. You know what I mean? And then the COVID hit, and all those players were out, and then they shut down some games for a while, and they didn't play for 10 days or however long they didn't play for. You know what I mean? And then now the guys are starting to trickle back. And you're starting to see, the team's getting a little better. But that's the point that I wanted to make. And that was a question that I wanted to ask you. It's very important for players, especially hockey players, who can tend to be, a little superstitious about things, and tend to have like to have the same thing happen every night. It's the same. They want to try to have that routine. They want to have that pattern. They want to have that consistency. So my question to you is this: as a goalie, how hard is it to get into a rhythm when you constantly have to deal with the defense is not playing really well, so now I'm getting outshot every friggin' night, and I have to see guys coming at point blank range, or list them off. You know what I mean? To rattle them off. The team hasn't all been together, whatever. They haven't played a full 60 minutes yet. Yeah, I think we've seen close, but I don't think we've seen a full 60 minutes yet.
Yeah, I think as a goaltender, I didn't mind the shots per se, because it kept me in the game. But it was tiresome when it was 56, 50, 60 shots a game at some time when you're playing some better teams. But the thing that I like to see more is consistency in the defensive lines.
Yeah.
And, as much as I got used to the people being together and knowing what they do, they did as well on the defense. If they played with the same person every single time, it was a lot smoother transition than, okay, this game you and you are going to play together, and the next game, let's see, you guys know, you and you, it's different. It's definitely frustrating. So.
And to get out of that rhythm, or not to be in that rhythm, makes it that much harder to try to get focused on a game, or try to get focused on things. You know what I'm saying? So, okay, I wanted to pose that question to you. What do you think of the Flyers so far? Look, the only team that we've really have lost to has been Boston. We are 9-1-1 against everybody else. But Boston seems to be the kryptonite right now of the Flyers. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So give me what your major assessment is, your main number one assessment is of the Flyers so far at this point in the season.
Okay. Well, I think the main point that needs to be made here is, yes, Boston does have our number, but remember, we're only playing a couple different teams right now. And in the playoffs is going to be a different story. We're going to have to play Tampa Bay and some other elite teams that are on Boston's level that we're going to have problems with as well. Now, right now, the Flyers offense is clicking. That third line, we don't have Scott Lawton back, but that third line of him, James Van Riemsdyk, Joel Farabee together was electric, and Kevin Hayes is playing phenomenal. And I really liked what I seen from Nolan Patrick on the wing. I think that gave him a spark that he needed last night. So, the Flyers,
and even offense, in Tahoe.
Right.
Even
yes.
in Tahoe, he played in the wing.
The Flyers' offense is clicking right now, and that's really saving and covering up for the defensive problems we have right now.
Agreed.
As some Flyer fans would look at it and say, "Hey, we're not doing that bad. We have a decent winning record. What are you guys complaining about?" Okay, that's great that we have a winning record, but is that going to carry us through the playoffs? Where all the teams that we're playing are now at Boston's level, okay?
That have winning records.
That have winning records, okay, and that have super elite players. to go along with that. This is where we're thinking here. We're a playoff team already before the season started. Are we better than we were last season? Are we going to advance? I want to see a cup, you know, come to Philadelphia. It's been quite a
Yeah.
long time, before I was born, even. So I want to, yeah,
I'm not
chew on
gonna
that
go.
one a minute. Chew
I'm
on that
not.
one a minute.
No. I was gonna say. Oh gosh, I was gonna blurt it out, so I won't.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
over
so
over 35 years.
yes, over 35 years ago. So this is where, I want to see them progress, and
Yeah.
a player is needed to do that on that defensive core, because I never seen that defense look as good as they did last season with Niskanen, a veteran in that uh, lineup and in the locker room.
I agree. I thought that the team played really well last year. I was quite impressed with how I look. I'm going to be a little bit honest here and say that I think the team a little bit overachieved last year. Um, just because I think the coach was able to come in and kind of kick a little keister and say, "Look, here's the system, and if you're not going to buy into the system, well, then you're going to be on the outside looking in." And so you have to have that first year for that coach to come in there and kind of lay the ground rules and let everybody know who's the new sheriff in town, whatever you want to call it. And so I thought that the team a little bit overachieved last year, and I thought that we were exposed in the playoffs. Okay, that's why I feel that we overachieved in the season, and then we were exposed in the playoffs because when it came down to it, we weren't nearly as physical as we needed to be. Okay, and we weren't nearly as capable of having players step up offensively. Okay, because we were seriously lacking in the power play. We were seriously lacking in scoring period, depth period. You know what I mean? We were getting goals from places we didn't think we were going to be getting goals, and we weren't getting goals from places that we thought we were going to be getting goals.
Yeah, definitely, with Konechny, that's the biggest name out there right now. He's out, with the COVID and everything like that. But last season, a perfect example was that, as you just said, in the playoffs, he was our leading goal scorer in the regular season. He did nothing in the playoffs, not one goal. So this season, he's been kind of that same damper right now in that Flyers offense. He's really not clicked yet this season, and taken off like he did last year.
Now, I think when AV put him on the bench for that game this year, I think that's when it clicked over for him. And then it was only what 2 games later now,
Yeah.
and then the COVID hit, and so I think he's there. Like I said, the team seemed to be kind of moving in the right direction right before the COVID hit. Okay.
Right.
So when we get to the halfway mark, we're going to do this again, and I'll ask you some other questions, and we'll ask some of the same questions. What do you think of the Flyers so far halfway through the season? I agree with you as far as, yes, fans are looking at it like, wow, we have a winning record, and this is the first time that the Flyers have had a winning record in the first quarter mark of the season since the last 3 or 4 years. So that completely bodes well for the Flyers, who have had a hot start, who have been able to come out and win some of those first couple of games and get some of those key initial points right out of the gates that they have not been able to do the beginnings of the last couple of seasons. Okay. And so that's going to carry you through stretches where you might not win every single game, but as long as you can get some points. You know what I'm saying? So that's how it's going to have to be for the Flyers. And I agree with you, too. I don't want to see the Flyers just make the playoffs. I want to see them progress to the next level and get at least to the ECF.
I think they need to prove it to themselves that they can do it. I think that they are at a point now where most of their talent that they drafted is progressing, and still more coming. And now we're not at that position where we were when Hextall was here and needing to draft these young guys to rebuild. We can now maybe let that second, third, fourth round selection be a vantage point to bring in a piece that we need to make it to that next step.
use it as
Do I
fodder.
want to see him take the old Penguins approach and give away all the first round picks to try to get the best player out there, and he doesn't even gel with the team when he comes here? No, but I think like Chuck did last season and got Niskanen, that's what we need come trade deadline, or hopefully before that, to get that one piece that we so need.
Okay. All right. I got you. All right. So, all things considered, the Flyers aren't really that horrible right at the moment. We know there are some red flags, obviously, that are going on, and things of that nature with the Flyers. I think that as guys come back and we start, getting the Laughtons back and the Konechny's back and the Voracek's back, and we start getting the guys back, and we start getting, that's the other thing too. They weren't able to practice during that whole break time, that whole COVID time. They weren't able to practice until just the last Monday or whatever. They were able to get on the ice for the first 2 days before the game, and they've had some time now between their game, the last game, and the next game that they have. Now they had today completely off, right? But they have some time now between now and the next game, which I believe is Saturday against Buffalo. And there's a 2-game set against Buffalo, and that's a perfect opponent for the Flyers to come out and be able to get some guys back, get some practice, and get them guys rolling, and get those 2 wins, get those 4 points under their belts. That's what I'm looking forward to, at least anyway. So we're going to transition to the state of the Flyers currently right now well, it's never too early to look at prospects.
Never.
It's never too early to look at look at draft picks for next year, right? I mean, come on, man. When the draft is over, you're already looking at the next one, right?
I definitely am. I am a draft fiend. I like to see these young players and see who's available. And it's like, Christmas morning when the draft comes to see who we're going to get and who's going to be the next, big thing for the Flyers. So
I want to get into this because I know how excited you are about these. And we did our draft show, which was amazing. When we actually were able to call the draft for the Flyers this past season. That was really cool. And I hope we get to do that again as a regular kind of feature. But there's a player on here, and this is why I wanted to get in this, because there's a very interesting player on here that was a teammate of a current draft pick from the Philadelphia Flyers. And
still is.
Yep, still is. And I love this combination. And I've had an opportunity to watch some of this. Okay. And why don't you tell us about the Flyers' number 1 draft pick, who you think the Flyers should select in their number 1 pick this year, if and they still have it.
Yes. Okay. So what the Flyers need is, I've been preaching for a while, is physicality, some grittiness on the lineup, and one player that could bring that late in the first round, where the Flyers hopefully will be at season's end, is Zachary L'Heureux from the Halifax Mooseheads. Okay, he is a phenomenal player. He adds a little bit of offense. He can score, in fact, rather well. He plays with a Flyers prospect that is blowing up in Halifax as well, on the same line, mind you, and Elliot Desjardins. Both of them played for Manhattan and got traded in the same trade to Halifax this past offseason. And since there, they have blown up in a sense, and are simply amazing, playing with Justin Barron, that was drafted last season, first round as well, on defense. It's just clicking. And where Elliott is that finesse guy that can skate by everybody and woo and wow with his scoring touch, Zachary is that yang to his yin, and is that physical guy that goes in deep and digs in the boards and
got the dirty nose.
Yeah, got that dirty nose and gets gets that puck out of there and feeds it to guys like that and stands in front of the net and takes a beating and redirects it or screens the goalie and gets a dirty rebound goal. That's his niche right there. And on top of that, the thing I love most about him is he'll drop the gloves and he will defend a player
Wait,
like
no, wait,
Elliott when somebody is picking on him.
wait. Did you just say a player that would drop the gloves? I mean, look,
Yes.
I get it that the league is trying to phase that out. And every time you see a group of players getting together, you see all three refs suddenly are now swarming around one player, and what's really funny is that the one show we did and we said, man, we've hardly seen any fights in the league, and then we come right out and I said never seen so many fights in 1 week.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what's going on now is because of the teams playing each other multiple times now, and you're
Definitely.
getting that. So I really like the fact that you selected those players as a number one pick for the Flyers. I like what he's done with Elliot Deone, the Destroyer, up there for them Mooseheads or Steelheads, and so I like that. I like that pick. I can't go wrong with that pick, man. I like it. He's got some size, he's got some physicality, and I like the fact that he can drop the gloves. And here's the other thing too. If he's playing well with somebody that the Flyers have already selected, hey,
Yeah.
ring,
How is
ring,
that? Yeah,
ring the
crazy idea,
doorbell.
right? Yeah, crazy idea. Draft him. He plays on a line with him. He plays well. So the best thing that I like about this too is Zachary would potentially be a first or early second round pick here. But with the great showing from Elliott, though, he outscored Elliott last season and led all rookies in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, or was right up at the top of the rookies scoring list in the
Right,
Quebec Major Junior League last year.
right.
Now the one big downfall that scouts are putting on L'Heureux right now is that he doesn't skate out all his plays. Now I want to be clear, guys, in saying this. Last season he did. For Manhattan, he did every shift. He was banging and hitting everything out there, laying dudes out, chasing down the puck, scoring. He did that. This season, Halifax is not as depth wise as Manhattan was last
Yeah,
season. Okay, so they are relying solely on this first line to score all their points. And an example of this is at times out on the power play, um, Elliott and Zachary will be out there for a solid minute and 20 seconds, a minute and 30 seconds before they come off. That is
wow,
extremely too long, guys, for any given shift.
wow, man.
Anybody is going to be, I don't care what kind of shape you're in, you're going to be pooped when you get back to the bench when you're playing that much. A normal shift, guys, is 30 seconds.
Yeah,
They're playing 3 times that in a
yeah,
in a power play, trying to get a goal or trying to get ahead in a game, and it's doing these guys a disservice in this sense, where these guys are just exhausted, and but it's because that Halifax is relying on that top line so much,
right,
and
right.
I guarantee you, if he gets drafted and comes into the Flyers system, and all of a sudden comes to the Phantoms and everything, once he's reached that point, that
Right.
he's going to have that wind. He's going to skate like he did
Well, yeah,
last season
because
in
he's still
Manhattan.
so young.
Yes.
What is he, 17 or
Yeah,
something like?
he's still 17. He will be 18 at the time of the draft. So
Okay.
he's got the skating ability there, and he has the ability and the muscle like Yager did to just push by people
With that
uh,
one hand.
physically, and he does that often.
Wow.
So that's
Well,
that's why I really like this kid. And he plays on all facets. He plays on the PK. He plays on the power play.
well, you know what that's
He can
going to
play.
mean, right?
He can play center. He can play wing.
You know what that's going to mean, right? He's going to be the top prospect in the land. He'll be a number one draft pick, and we ain't going to see hide nor hair of this guy. Are you kidding?
No, I think he'll be there. I think he'll be there. So
Well, if he shows out this good and he continues to show out, he may well may not be. So that would be my only fear about that. That's the only thing, because yeah, we're looking at these guys and salivating at them, but so are 31 other teams. Or at least they should be anyway. All right. So not only did we get a first rounder from you, right? But we got him to give us a second rounder. Ooh, and this one is just as juicy. Ooh, say that again. Juicy. All right. Talk to me about the U.S. national team, Tyler Boucher. Come on. Give it to
All
me,
right.
baby.
All right. Yeah, definitely. Under the same pretenses here. It's a
Second
big
round pick. Flyer
second.
second round pick,
Yes,
right?
same
Okay.
second round pick here. A lot of guys just continually focus on the first round and forget about the other 6 rounds in the draft here when they make their predictions. That's easy enough to do to select a guy in the first round. That's their well videos and everything out about those guys.
Oh,
But
yeah.
the depth is where the Flyers have made their money with guys like Wisdom in the fourth and Elliott in the fifth and all this recently. So it bears some attention as well. So in my studies, I found a guy of similar stature here who is a big physical winger. All right, to bring some physicality back, okay, to the Flyers on Broad Street. Now, Tyler Boucher, you may that name may ring a bell here for a lot of Flyers fans, and yes, he is Brian Boucher's son, longtime goaltender here. And when I was looking up this player and seeing all these videos, I didn't even know this at that point. I was just mesmerized by watching video of this guy completely annihilating opponents every shift. All right. And I think, he doesn't drop the gloves like L'Heureux does as much, but he is that much that physical or even more so,
Okay.
guys. And he is that grinder. He is that guy on that like second or third line that just brings the pain and gets that puck and does all the little things that is so needing on this roster, this Flyers roster. Okay, to compare this guy to maybe the Flyers top hitters on the team right now, and say Hag or something like that, he may be credited with like maybe 2 to 3 hits a game, maybe 4 hits a game. Okay, and Robert Hag and the Flyers. Okay, uh, Boucher is now taking a shift to reach those numbers with the U.S. team. All right. That's how much this kid is just going out there and putting body to body.
Well,
And I think that is great. And he is gritty enough to stand in that paint. He is gritty enough to get in those corners and fight for those puck battles, like we so need. A Hartnell, per se,
yeah,
a Wayne Simmons,
yeah.
that we keep preaching that we're obviously missing on this roster.
Is that sad that we both said Wayne Simmons at the same time?
Right.
That's that. Whoa. All right. That's
Yeah.
scary, dude. I'm sorry. That
Yeah.
just got real scary.
And as always here, the U.S. Development team is just producing player
Oh,
after player
man.
after player
Oh,
after
my
player.
gosh.
And the same goes for this season, guys. I think Marty St. Louis' son's on this team as well
Yeah.
coming up. There's some big time, maybe potential number 1 draft picks from this team as well. They just are able to go out there and find these gem players. And Boosh is sitting down there and maybe not getting a good look at like he should be, because there's so many other guys on this. There's probably 4 or 5 maybe first round picks in this year's
Oh,
draft as
easily.
well that
Yeah,
is
yeah,
coming from this
easily.
team.
Mm-hmm.
And he's no slouch on this roster either. And he
Ooh,
could be that gel player that we need
yeah.
to bring that grit that the Flyers lack.
He definitely has the size. He's 6'1", you know what I mean? And he could potentially put a little bit more on the frame. He's only 18, you know what I mean? So he could definitely get a little bit over 200 pounds on him,
Yeah,
and
he's
getting.
already over 200
That's
pounds.
what I
So
mean,
yeah,
yeah. It's like what Joel Farabee did. Between last season and this season, he went out and lifted a bunch of weights and put on 10 or 12 pounds of muscle and bulked up.
Definitely hit the potatoes and mashed potatoes and milkshakes to get that weight
And
on for sure.
pasta, get your little
Yeah,
some of that pasta rolling.
definitely
Oh,
ate some carbs there.
yeah, well, yeah, all right, but you know what I mean, though. Yeah, we need to get, and these guys are going to grow obviously because they're so young and everything like that. Look, I'm all about this on our off the wall hockey show. We do the prospect watch, and every week we talk about two different prospects that have either made it into the league this year or have been drafted within the last 2 or 3 years or potentially could be drafted in this upcoming draft. Okay, so that's our criteria for our prospect watch. So we've been just picking players that have been drafted already but are now starting to make their appearance on some of the teams. You know what I mean? And I really like the players that you've selected for the Flyers mock draft as far as you're concerned. I think that the first round pick with L'Heureux, getting him to join with Deone on the Flyers, that just has me. Whew, that just feels good to say that. You know what I mean? But I like the players that you've selected. They give the Flyers exactly. They fill the needs. You know what I mean? And I can't wait to see what the third round and the fourth round and some of the other rounds are going to be, right? Because I'm sure we're going to continue on until we get to seventh round, right?
Yeah, definitely. As
Yeah.
I did last year, I'm gonna dig more into it, and so it's a little harder this year. There's a lot less tape on guys, and some guys aren't even playing
Yeah, really.
uh, with their league shut down. So it's kind of hard to see where the the ball is going to fall there with some of these prospects, and where these teams are going to be looking in a sense. Are they going to take this guy that was a skilled player last season that wasn't of age yet to be drafted and go off what they'd seen last season, or are they going to tend to take these guys like Boucher and others that are playing currently and
Yeah.
having success, and maybe a little more or a little less skilled than the others that aren't. So it's hard to
Yeah,
tell.
I agree. I agree. I think what you're going to see is a combination of both. And this is where you're actually going to start to see more of the analytics is going to play into things, especially with the next draft because of the limited amount of of the lower leagues playing and the junior leagues not playing as much either. So I think you're going to see more of some of that analytic type stuff, and you're going to see some guys that have been playing that are on tape are going to be selected more closely than guys that haven't been playing and aren't on tape. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's kind of how I look at it. Do you think that the Flyers are going to be able to still have their first round draft pick?
I think it'll be there. I don't think they're at the point that they can say that giving a first round pick away for a guy is going to make them achieve that next goal to hoist the Stanley Cup. I think that's the only way that they would, if they could go out there and get that guy that is going to vault them that to that elite level. Uh, and I don't think they're quite there yet. They're definitely a playoff team, but like you said, I want to see them progress maybe to the Eastern Conference Finals
Yeah.
and see if they can make that first. I think there's some definitely tough teams in the East with Tampa Bay and Boston, and Washington's always dangerous as well.
Exactly.
If they get their
Florida
goaltending
might be
going a little
there
bit better.
too. Florida might be there too. I mean, there's going to be some teams that are going to be out there it's going to be tough games for the Flyers. That's for sure. I mean,
Yeah,
just within our own division.
Yeah, listen, I think Florida is an up and coming team for sure. I think they got new management in there now. They've always drafted really well, but they never gave their young, talented players a look because
Right.
they're a small market team and they wanted to put butts in the seats. They wanted to go out there and get names that people knew and put them on the ice. And they expected their young guys to get it right away and not give them any time. And if they didn't get it right away, they ship them back to where they came from
Yeah.
and forget about them. As I
Yeah.
as I said in a couple other articles, I would love to
Uh,
steal some of the
Oh, we talked about
Florida
it on a
Panthers.
show
Yeah,
too. Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah. I
So
would love to. I would love to steal some of their draft picks.
click, click.
There's some good ones down there, and they
We'll
should be a
take
good
one of them
team for
guys.
years to come. So
I'm with you. I'm with you on that. Lance, I'll tell you what, man, this has been awesome. Every time we get together and talk about stuff, man, it's always good stuff. We always have great information for the folks out there. We always provide them with all of your great articles. You know what I mean, Lance? Look, I'm going to tell you something, man, for real. I read very little now, unless it's you or especially I read your stuff first before I read anybody else's. You know what I
I
mean?
appreciate that.
Yeah, man. So, and I'm also really, really happy and proud of what we've done here with Hockey Writers Inc. I think it's grown rather nicely. I'd also like to thank our new sponsors, www.cccresorts.com, for sponsoring us and for helping to bring you the Hockey Writers Inc. Here real soon, we'll be debuting their commercial on the show. So be tuning in for that here shortly. Lance, you got anything on the editor's desk?
I don't. I just finished that piece late last night that I put
Yeah.
out today. I got some ideas on some scratch paper, as always. I'm kind of looking to see what the next game brings. Before I bring something else out. But I'm sure over the weekend I'm going to work on a couple things. In parting, though, I would like to say if you liked any thing points that I brought up on the articles, you can always go to Flyers Nitty Gritty to see them, and I always post videos in there so you can physically see what I'm talking about in my writing. And get a if you're a visual person like I am.
Yeah, yeah.
I want to see what those people are talking about with these prospects and players, and definitely get a good understanding of what this guys bring to the table.
Exactly. You know, Lance, that's why we have you on the show here. That's why you're the host of the show, man. Because when we put the show out here, we put the links to your articles out there for the great folks to be able to check those articles out and be able to read them and get those visuals that they need. Okay. And a huge thank you to Flyers Nitty Gritty for posting the articles and for posting the show. Appreciate that. And uh, appreciate the sponsorship from www.cccresorts.com. Check them out. And I'll tell you what, my brother, I can't wait for the next one. Is it the next show yet?
Not quite yet. I gotta write a couple more articles, I think.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. All right, all right, all right. All right. Well, thank you very much for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe. We really appreciate that. That really, yeah, helps to keep us rolling and lets us know what you like. You know, here's the other thing, too. You can make comments on the comments section about those articles because we check them out and we can get into conversations about what's going on. That's why we do this stuff because we're trying to provoke that conversation. We're trying to get you to think outside the box a little bit. So,
maybe we could get a Q&A kind of session going on future episodes if we get a
yeah.
couple questions that are maybe pining a couple hockey uh, viewers' minds there. So
Please. Yeah. In
that'd be
fact, you know
interesting.
what? You know what? Maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll put that out on Twitter. We'll ask for a bunch of questions from the fans, and we'll do a quick little Q&A. That's a great idea. I like that. Well, Lance, my man, how can we get a hold of you? Where can we get all of your great articles, and where can we follow you?
Definitely, you guys can always watch us on YouTube here, and you can get all my articles on flyersnittygritty.com or Bleacher Report. And you can follow me on Twitter at LNGBASSIST, the numbers 39.
Awesome sauce, man. Yeah, you got to definitely check out Lance and his articles on flyersnittygritty.com. You can follow us here on the YouTube channel, or you can check us out on the web at www.steelflyers.com/link/the Hockey Writers Inc. We're there. All of our latest videos are there. You can check them out. You can check out everything on the Steel Flyers channel with all of the Hockey Writers Inc. information down there for you and all that. So you can follow me on Twitter at SteelFlyers52. Thank you very much for joining us, folks. We can't wait for the next one, and we'll talk to you all very soon. Thanks, man.
See ya.